Hello, Jeff and Lee. Very nice to welcome you for the Call to Coms with Télécom Sans Frontières. So I'm Emmanuel, as you both know me, and I'm very happy to have you both on the interview. So may you please introduce yourselves so we have a better idea of what you're doing at DigitalBridge.
Yes, of course, and pleasure to be here, Emmanuel. Jeff Ginsberg. I am the Chief Administrative Officer of DigitalBridge, and in that role, in addition to a number of duties, I chair our ESG committee.
Hi, Emmanuel. Thanks for having us. I'm Lee Coker. I'm ESG advisor at DigitalBridge. So I've been working in sustainability and social issues for 12 years now with private capital investors, and I've been working with DigitalBridge for 6. Work directly with our portfolio companies, our investments, on improving their sustainability and their social impact, and also work with the firm on a number of matters in due diligence when we're looking at new investments and in reporting to our investors.
Very nice. Thank you very much. So we will start talking about the partnership with the DigitalBridge and TSF. So we'll celebrate 5 years next September, this year in 2024. So can you share with me what does this partnership mean for you personally and also to DigitalBridge?
Well, let me just say that it's not often that you can find an organization that closely mirrors your own philosophy and what you do every day and your mission. DigitalBridge, we invest in digital infrastructure, whether it's wireless towers and wireless connectivity and 5G, whether it's fiber in rural communities, metropolitan communities, or whether it's providing data center capacity for cloud computing or storage or other needs. So our entire investment thesis and our entire focus is on connecting the world and connecting them with digital infrastructure. And when we learned of TSF, it really spoke, the organization spoke to us and was very consistent with what we invest in, and clearly the humanitarian efforts and connecting communities that have been ravaged by natural disasters is something that is incredibly important in a recovery process and aligns very closely with what we do every day. So it really is a pretty unique partnership from our perspective. And I will say that when Manjari Gavada could not be here, but she is a principal in our London office and really identified TSF as a partner for us. And we have enjoyed the 5-year association and look forward to continue to supporting you all into the future.
We have a set of ESG expectations for our portfolio companies. So a set of expectations in terms of how they set up their approach to environmental and social issues. And one of those expectations is to have a corporate citizenship program. And so obviously we want to abide by our own expectations and have some level of corporate citizenship, a level of social responsibility. And so, like as Jeff mentioned, when Manjari brought us this program, it was, what many would call strategic philanthropy, where it's part of the overall business strategy is digital infrastructure. We can provide you all with resources and philanthropic donations that really do align with our overall approach to business and the overall core of our business model, which is to enhance digital infrastructure around the world.
Thank you.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. And indeed, there is a very somehow obvious complementarity between the emergency work that we do in humanitarian crisis when the networks are down, and the work you are doing to reinforce and improve and make also the networks more resilient. At TSF, we intervene in this immediate response phase where all networks are down, but we are also in other emergency phases when the networks can be operational, but in this case, we find other kind of needs for the people affected by crisis. And that's the case for what we call digital inclusion activities, which are focused for TSF on people in vulnerable environments, for example, in a migration crisis or any other crisis. How do you see this kind of activity from DigitalBridge perspective?
Well, it's interesting. We've recently begun investing in fiber to the home, both in Europe and in Latin America. And specifically, we have a company, Mundo Pacifico, in Chile, that is uh, building infrastructure to reach communities that never before have had access to fiber. So that is something that we have done. And then another one of our companies, Andean Telecom Partners, has been rolling out fiber networks throughout Chile, Colombia, and Peru. And that's more of a wholesale model, but it is enabling um, technology and um, broadband communications to reach never before rural areas. So that's something that's very exciting to us. And look, that's what this is about. And when TSF goes into an area, restoring that connectivity, supporting the education, the ongoing education needs that have been interrupted, all is very important. And we're trying to do our part when we are investing as well.
I would just add one thing that we really appreciate about TSF and our partnership is it really and it aligns with the rest of our sustainability program is that it's apolitical. You know, we're not trying to pick a side of any sort of political aisle. You know, the same is true for our climate change efforts where we're working on taking our companies to net zero to mitigate all impact that they have on the climate. And that's something that we appreciate with our partnership with you all as well.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what we are also putting forward. This commitment to reach isolated communities and empower them, give them the means to yeah use online service that exists worldwide. And you were highlighting several topics that your ESG is focusing on. So can you tell me more about DigitalBridge ESG policy and the topics that you want to highlight?
Yes, no, it's a great question. We do. Lee mentioned earlier, we have expectations that we set for all of our portfolio companies. We have about 30 companies uh, amongst our funds, and we have set up a program that where there's reporting, processes, training. But if we had to highlight a few, one, and Lee also mentioned net zero. We have required each one of our companies to come up with a net zero game plan that is approved by their board of directors. And just the overarching um, energy consumption, reducing emissions, um, changing the behavior of it within the company to reduce emissions from the company's activities, just overall net zero planning is something that's a very important issue to DigitalBridge. I'd say another one is data privacy. Obviously, we operate data centers, we have fiber networks, and there are, whilst we're not keeping personal information from customers, the companies that are using our infrastructure obviously are very focused on that. So we do what we can on our end to, mitigate any risks there. I'd say workplace health and safety is another important area for us, and making sure that the employees are trained and cared for. And we have a lot of construction activities going on globally. We have towers that people are climbing and doing work on. So, workplace health and safety is a big one. And then finally, corporate citizenship and charitable contributions, as exemplified by our relationship, is another really important item in our overall program. And again, we really push that message out to all of our companies, and not only DigitalBridge, but all the companies we invest in.
In terms of our program, we have expectations. We have, the reporting requirements that Jeff mentioned, but we also provide as much support as possible. So we'll introduce our portfolio companies to vendors and to experts that can help with specific aspects, whether it's net zero or human rights and development or considering biodiversity and site selection, where they can either, if me or my team isn't able to work in a concerted way to help them address their issue, they can hire another firm that can help bring in some outside expertise.
And by the way, I will also mention, because you said biodiversity, and in your question, Emmanuel, you mentioned inclusion. Diversity, equity, inclusion is actually another very important issue that we are focused on, and we are not only with our workforce, but boards of directors and just our practices are very DEI focused.
Yeah, very nice. I think you are really trying to get the three pillars of sustainable development in your ESG policy strategy, and also the link with your portfolio companies is very interesting. So you can provide the support and also share with different companies cultures to advance all these important topics. And of course, that's something we are very sensitive to at TSF. And we are also in the process ourselves to study our energy consumption and so on. So it makes a lot of sense. On this topic, yeah, we all know that the digital world is consuming a lot of energy, and we have a lot of other environmental issues currently. So how do you see the role of digital technology in meeting these challenges, you as an infrastructure company?
It's a really interesting question because, look, technology has been incredibly impactful on society generally, and as so you think about the environmental, social, and governance challenges that exist in the world today, simply but being able to communicate, bringing the world closer together, enabling analysis of data, and again, not taking a political side, but you would think that people looking at math and data and analysis, certainly that's helpful. And look, it's we're just really lucky to be invested in an industry that's taking the world forward. And I think that digital technology, I mean, you have the advent of AI, artificial intelligence coming. That's going to be very interesting to see what impacts that will have on our on the CSG area. I think it'll be very impactful in a good way. And we are very involved with that, the advent of AI with our data center businesses. So it's very exciting to just try to figure out where it's going to take us. But I do think it's been helpful and will continue to be.
Yeah, as you said, I think technology are wonderful tools, and the idea is how do we do good with it, and do we choose the right way to use them to do the best as we can.
And listen, everything can be used for good or not good, as we have seen, right? So, and again, like all the technology, we talked earlier about data privacy and security. I mean, it is mind-boggling how much not an identity, financial fraud, that like the crime has now moved into this area where you never really thought it would be. And it's that's an example of technology not being used for good, but hopefully we can continue to use it for good and to help climate change and to help just help the planet. And that's what it's about. And I do think keeping bringing the world closer together, connecting communities, and again what TSF does, and what really we've learned, it is obviously the humanitarian response in a crisis is a big part of what you all do, but there's much more. that you do, and it's whether it's Ukraine, it's not a natural disaster necessarily. It's areas of need and really supporting the local community and the children and the educational aspects of it. So that's really been a learning for us because when we first got together, we just said, oh, there's a hurricane, there's been a typhoon, TSF's going to be there, but you guys have you're showing up everywhere, and it's really important work. So we really love the partnership.
Thank you very much for all your insights and for speaking with us about the big challenges of today.
Our pleasure. Thank you for having us. We really appreciate the partnership and look forward to a continued association.
Thanks, Emmanuel.
Cheers.